Not long ago, really interesting paper came out that talked about how vitamin D can help you against aging. And this has to do with these sort of, imagine, shoelace cups that are at the ends of your chromosomes, which are basically your congested DNAs. We're talking about telomeres. I'm sure all of you have heard of telomeres and how telomeres shorten over time. And this study showed how vitamin D can protect against that. My name is Dr. Mikola Rashik of Neurogenomics. Let me give you the basics. This was a very large study that involved more than 25,000 people. This was done already, the study was started many years ago, it was multiple years ago, and they've already published several really valuable results from that study. They continue to publish interesting data, and they used, so very large study. It's sort of like, imagine Army from Lord of the Rings, but those were middle-aged Americans, so probably most of them wouldn't be able to lift a sword, but they were using vitamin D, 2,000 international units every day during that time span, and also omega-3 fatty acids, 1 gram per day of that. And this was a marine source. And they wanted to see what happens. And what they were able to observe that in a span of 4 years, vitamin D prevented telomeres from shortening by 140 base pairs. What are base pairs? Your DNA is made out of linked chemicals. Each one of these chemicals is a nucleotide or forms a base pair. So one base pair is 2 nucleotides interacting with one another. So 140 of those. Or in other words, vitamin D, taking vitamin D every year helped you prevent you from not losing 35 base pairs of your telomeres per year. All right. So pretty cool. But what does that even mean biologically? You're probably asking, okay, but how much do I lose per year as a person? And I looked it up, so I'm gonna tell you. And there was a meta-analysis done not long ago. What are meta-analysis? Those are analysis of many studies. This meta-analysis included more than 400 studies on telomere shortening during aging. So incredible number, almost encompassing 750,000 individuals based on all of these studies. 2 types of studies. One of them were called cross-sectional. Cross-sectional means when you take one group of people of one age and you compare it, those are random people, and you compare it against another random group of people of another age. So that's cross-sectional. But they also looked at some longitudinal studies, and these are where you look at the same person or group of people over time, long time, usually multiple years. And based on all of these studies, cross-sectional studies showed that approximately people lose 23 base pairs per year. Now, when you looked at longitudinal studies, there was a bit more. So when you look at the same people, they were losing about 38 pairs per year. So this would suggest that by you taking vitamin D every year, well, you might not get immortality, but you clearly can reduce aging to some degree. Really fascinating, obviously. And I've also, but what does that mean to you? Why does it reduce aging? I did a video a long time ago on telomeres and aging, and how, in essence, as your telomeres eventually get too short, it signals the cell that you're done, your lifespan is done. So it will either retire from work or it will die. So your aging is pre-programmed in a way in your genetic code. And that includes your immune cells. And in that video, I discussed how you need immune cells to sometimes divide very rapidly to protect you. So there's T cell expansion. And eventually, as you age, you lose that ability to have your T cells expand to to divide rapidly to protect you because of the fact that your telomeres are too short, and there's a drop off at certain age. So check out that video. And this can lead to what is referred to as T-cell lymphopenia. This was a hallmark of severe COVID-19 in certain individuals. And such individuals had short telomeres. So if you wondered how this protection from vitamin D is good for you, that's one example. I also did a video long time ago on vitamin D and how powerful it is for you, how it could protect you against COVID. One of these was because vitamin D, once it is in bioactive form, the ones that these individuals were taking was not. But then vitamin D you buy from, say, a drugstore, your body will convert. First, it will be converted by liver, then kidney, into bioactive forms. And these bioactive forms are subsequently, they become more bioactive. One is something like calcitriol, and the other one is calcifediol. And once they are bioactive, they can then attach themselves to a variety of receptors and activate immune responses that will be protecting you. So check that video out. To me, vitamin D is one of the most essential supplements. That's one that I take religiously. This is something that I really try to follow and try to make sure I get this. Well, I try every day. I fail often, but that's a big one for me in terms of the arsenal of what to do to protect yourself. And now you know why. Now, I should have also showed you, there was this really cool graph in that meta-analysis where they showed the longitudinal studies. This is worth looking at because they mapped all of these studies, and you can actually see how the length of telomeres is shorter in these studies over time span. So I thought it's very cool visually to take a look at that. Let's continue with this though. And VITAL study, that, as I mentioned, they did numerous studies, and this is just one of them. Another very cool finding that they had is that vitamin D was able to reduce CRP protein, or what I like to call as chronic rage protein. Why is that? Because CRP protein is a hallmark of inflammation. So what is this protein? This protein actually stands for C-reactive protein, and it's a protein that your liver will produce when you have high inflammation. So it doesn't cause inflammation, it signifies that inflammation is happening in your body. It's very sensitive to that, and it can very rapidly expand massively in quantity in your blood, which is why doctors still use that to as a marker of inflammation going on in your body. And if you wonder what the C stands for, C stands for C-polysaccharide, because this protein was discovered in somewhere maybe like 1930s, and it was discovered that it was binding to the C-polysaccharide, which makes up walls of pathogenic bacteria. This was, I think it was something like Streptococcus pneumoniae, and they didn't even know what the protein does at the moment, but they could see, hey, it's reacting with this wall of bacteria, so they call it C-reactive protein. It's sort of like, imagine they named the protein before they knew what it does. So it's kind of like, imagine if you call your cat killer and then you learn that it just sleeps all day, type of thing, right? But what does C-reactive protein actually do? It binds to pathogens such as bacteria, but it can also bind to abnormal components of your cells that are no longer healthy, and it stimulates immune response to start getting rid of this, cleaning it up. So that's in a nutshell of what it does. So what this study discovered is that C-reactive protein was reduced after 2 years of vitamin D supplementation by approximately 19%. So this is really good because at 4 years there wasn't the reduction was no longer statistically significant, but it still is really important because such inflammation can help you against issues such as cancer or autoimmune conditions, so very valuable. Speaking of which, and this is where the VITAL study really came to prominence, is because it was started to analyze whether vitamin D supplementation can help reduce autoimmune conditions. And this is how this study got started with 25,000 people. The other two studies, in terms of the CRP protein and the telomeres, they only use subcomponent of those 25,000 people. Just some over 1,000 people, they collected the blood and they were able to get these additional studies on the side. But in terms of looking at everyone, oh, and by the way, the omega-3 fatty acids, they didn't do anything against telomeres. Telomeres were not impressed at all. So it was just a vitamin D. And same with the C-reactive protein. It didn't amount too much there. But they looked at these 25,000 people as well to see how such supplementation could help with autoimmunity. And again, vitamin D had a significant impact. After I think 5 years, it reduced autoimmunity in people by 22%, and in 3, or maybe it was within 4 years, and then 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 years, it was much more pronounced. So if you get rid of the early component, the reduction in autoimmunity amongst people who were supplementing with vitamin D was almost 40%. So clearly vitamin D needs some time before it can start having its biological effects. However, I can also tell you that you could cheat, and there's always a ways to cheat, and you could take already those bioactive forms. So you could, apparently those are also available. So you could go for that calcitriol or calcifediol and be a step closer towards bioactive form, so you don't have to wait such a long time, like say a couple years of some supplementation before you see biological impacts to your benefit. But autoimmunity, another really, really big study. So in essence, this tells you that vitamin D could be really, really good anti-aging agent. Now, lately I've been doing quite a few studies in terms of longevity and how you could be helping yourself with aging, and vitamin D is just one of those molecules. Another one I recently did a video is vagus nerve, how it could also help you with that. And there are some commonalities. It also deals with triggering your immune system in ways that you would desire. And I did a video on how vagus nerve is affected during aging. So you can again cheat by activating your vagus nerve, or you could just naturally take care of your vagus nerve so that it performs excellent. And what's the way to do that? Well, ideally, it is with exercise. That's one of the best ways of taking care of your vagus nerve. You can try to activate it with natural techniques as well. I did a video on that as well, via breathing. And speaking of exercise, one of the best ways also to help reduce telomere shortening is exercise as well. So healthy living, if you wanted to know how to reduce aging, that's another one. Quit smoking, exercise, healthy diet, and being chill. Literally relax. So again, vagus nerve helps you with that. Those are the components that can help you reduce shortening of your telomeres in your immune cells. So the verdict is, should you be supplementing with vitamin D? Well, obviously I'm not your doctor, but I think your telomeres would definitely say yes and go for it. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. And please like, please share, please comment and subscribe, all of this, because this is how we grow. And also please check out my Patreon account, where I host additional content that does not make it to YouTube, and eventually you get to help decide, if you're a patron, supporting Patreon, as to what makes it to YouTube. And there's lots of other free content there as well. So check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next installment. Bye everyone.